Welcome to part 3 and the conclusion of the VCFL's Introduction to Six-a-Side Football featuring Brian Guebert. In this final segment, Brian will show several video examples of six-a-side football being played. He'll discuss long-term athletic development and skills progression. He'll share coaching tips and best practices specific to six-a-side football, and as well, he'll be sharing the Football Canada app and all its benefits. Let's get to it and enjoy.
This is an open offensive playbook. So, like I'd mentioned, in our pandemic, we had to take our 12-a-side minor football league that we run in the fall, and we had to go smaller group sizes and all that sort of stuff. Hey, we had a means to do that. We're playing six-a-side football. It's not like it was new to anybody. But what I did to keep it differentiated from the developmental league we run in the spring was I said, coaches, go nuts. We're running full special teams. We're running open playbooks. We're keeping score. Because they did that in 12-side, they had open playbooks, they kept score, all that sort of stuff. Break up way more fights in that league than I do in the six-side league, but it is what it is. This is one of the playbooks one of the coaching staffs put together, and it's awesome. So here's the formations that they put together, and now you have an eligible center. Okay, so that guy's snapping the ball. They were in shotgun the whole time, and we have a wide split end, if you will, wide receiver. So he's out of the tackle box, so he can't cut anymore in this case. I know that was brought up a little bit. We have two players. This is the ineligible player, so we have to identify eligibles. Who do we cover? Who do we not cover on defense? And we got tailback, and then we got a slot back. We can use motion, all that sort of stuff. So here's how they listed their formations. They got wide left. They had tight left. So this was tight left. So again, they bring that wide receiver on the line in. And in this case, they moved the center was no longer eligible there. They had wide left ace. All right, so their quarterback was under center there, ace back in the backfield. They had tight left ace, same sort of thing. Deuce left, which was the slot back, and the wide receiver that was split out was on the same side in this case. And Wiseman right, so they put all of their players, so the quarterback and the center were alone. Center was eligible, and they put everybody else over here. So this is now the ineligible player outside of the tackle box. This is where you get some creative stuff here. Wiseman left. They talked about how they're doing motion. So motion to wide left. So they would start in deuces and motion to wide left. So on and so forth. So these guys got creative. Here were some of their run plays. So wide left, ace, maroon, quarterback, ninja. So that was their dive play. All right, minor football, you're going to get probably 5 yards on that play anyways. Q lead, so they like to run their quarterback. They had a really athletic quarterback this year. They ran Q lead out of all sorts of different formations. More Q lead stuff. But you can see how creative you can get with the playbook here. So you have tight left, S ghost, blue, T dive. So this is a fake slot back, fake slot back handoff and tailback dive. But again, ask yourself, are these concepts that we have seen in 12-a-side, 11-a-side football? Absolutely they are. It is just less ineligible players on the field that are blocking for it. So you got to be a little more efficient in the holes that you're running to. But there's less defenders to block too. So their running game, they had lots of motion. They liked giving their jet sweeps. They liked some tailback dive stuff. But you can be really creative out of this. They both out of shotgun, out of under center. These guys were very thorough in how they did stuff. They even brought their slot back as a lead backer, and then they would have a maroon sting, I guess they called it here, where they'd run the tailback up the middle in a lead blocking formation, then they'd run the quarterback right off the edge, and a lot of times they would keep it with the quarterback as well. So that's some of the run plays that you can get really creative with. Yep. Here's a screen draw game. So they have a T swing Q draw. So this, again, they would fake this and then run the quarterback up the middle. So they get the MAC to, they eventually got to a point in the season where they were reading the middle linebacker. So if the middle linebacker stayed in, they'd throw the tailback's swing. And if he bolted out, they would run the quarterback draw. So they'd early motion that tailback out a lot of the time and see what the middle linebacker did, and then work on it from there. They ran a bubble concepts out of that Wiseman formation. So there you got 3 blockers for a receiver out that way, and then they had the backside eligible center running an out. So again, if you get an advantage of numbers, you take advantage of that for sure. So again, this is just a very thorough, it's 43 pages of plays here and formations, but a very creative way in which you can run offense. And then their passing game actually was quite creative. They ran all flies, they ran all hooks, good minor football plays. They ran a divide concept there. Again, we knew that more likelihood than not, you'd be in man-to-man coverage. So if you got a quarterback who's accurate with passing man routes, then you'd be in a really good position to do so. Incorporated tailback out into this position. You get some rub concepts in there and whatnot, but there's lots you can do with this. So again, I can share that all with you as well. Like I said, we have our canned playbooks that we use in our developmental league. We allowed this to be open during the pandemic and see what happened. I was really impressed with the creativity of everything, but then I asked myself the question of, you have a 43-page offensive playbook. Did that take away from maybe developing fundamental skills in the game of football? Possibly. There's a lot of really high-end concepts you're trying to develop with under 14 players in some cases here. Do you need to do that? These are really good coaches, so to limit their creativity is a shame in some cases. But at what can you coach players to play multiple positions in an offense like this? Might be a little more difficult because there's lots of dynamic moving pieces to it. So just another thing to consider. This is our basic defensive playbook. Again. It seems like I'm a defensive-minded person myself, but it seems like our game has taken an offensive, we've shifted the rules to benefit the offense and get more scoring. Hey, it makes it super creative and whatnot. But we've just made a basic defensive playbook just to make that we're in sound gap cancellation defense with man-to-man coverage principles. And again, to allow the offense to have success, to allow skill development to happen. Because again, we can blitz for success in minor football. Now, do we actually see great open field tackling, or do we see successful play because we schemed into it, right? So that's a question I always ask myself, saying, okay, I would rather have somebody actually make a pass run read, fill their gap, make the play, than just send them in there, blow up a whole bunch of stuff, and them have accidental success because of a scheme kind of result. So that's one of the things that I always challenge myself with thinking about on the defensive side of things. So this is our pass responsibilities. So our free safety is kind of free to flow to the ball. These are our, and he is the first receiver out of the backfield. So if you get somebody motioning out early, the free safety is going to shade that side. So again, if you line up with a slot back or a wide receiver, the free safety is going to cover that player, probably come down lower to the box and cover that player. And then the rest, the Sam would have the first person out on their side. Will would have the person out on their side if the other player released to that side, the second receiver. Oh, sorry, we changed this up. Right, Mac had the second receiver out of the backfield because we said Mac is often going where the tailback goes anyways, and then Sam and Will can spy the defensive ends and add to the rush if the end stays into block. So there was a kind of add and engage there concept from our original. I don't know why this formatted so poorly. My goodness. Anyways, it just shows how we cover down different formations. So if we get an ace slot right formation, this is how we would cover it down. So our free safety is on the fullback here. Matt covers here. Sam is spying the end. Will is spying the end. We have these gaps taken care of, and we roll from there. You get a wide right, slot right formation here, or wide left, slot left from the defensive perspective. Free safety covers the first person. Sam can then cover the second person because we have no tailback responsibility. Matt can take their responsibility with the defensive end, or with the end there, the tight end, and Will can cover this player. So again, just telling people, recognize who eligibles are, make sure you cover everybody down. Then you can get into some zone concepts there. 3-person zone, and I'll show you some film of that. It's pretty creative. I'm sorry about the format of this playbook. I don't know why it did that. I hope this one didn't do the same. And then special teams. You'll find that there's not a lot different about special teams in six-a-side football, other than you miss a tackle, the return could be going to the house. Okay, so this is a kickoff right hash, deep left. Just keep it simple. So we're kicking off of the 40-yard line. Sorry, my playmaker thing has a 55-yard line in here, so disregard that. But nonetheless, we have 3 point players. So we have 2 players setting the contain. We have point player there. Our outside player is cutting the field. He can feather in if we know that contain has been met by our inside number 3. And then we have a secondary fill player and a secondary cut player as well. The kicker would be the following cut player. Can't really leave a safety like we do, say, in a 12-a-side kickoff coverage unit. These secondary cut players are looking to kind of play a spill responsibility, but that's one example of how you could cover kickoffs. Again, with the narrower field, I found it advantageous to kick across the field because it hangs up in the air more. Not to mention you're kind of, if you kick to this side and you're trying to pin it into the sidelines, it's easier to go out of bounds because it's only 13 yards to go out of bounds there. So you just got to give yourself some freedom to be creative with the size of the field. So an example of a boundary return. So you have 3 players in the front, 2 players in the back. Teams love to short kick in six-a-side too. Mainly because you kick it high and deep to a really athletic player in a whole bunch of space. Bad things can happen. But keeping an eye on the short kick, oftentimes we'll move these back row players up even further, maybe have them only 10 yards beyond this front row, just so if there is a dribble kick or something off to the sidelines, we can react quickly to it. One kick returner back in the middle of the field just has to be able to see the ball come off the foot and get to it appropriately. Squib kicks are really advantageous in six-a-side because they bounce around and there's less players to pick the ball up. But this is an example of a boundary return. Again, our fullbacks be kicking out 1, leading up on most dangerous man. We're kind of setting a wall here with our frontline players to block 2, 3, 4. We're going to leave 5 unblocked and return to the boundary. Punt team, just kind of a double fullback. I like releasing those front end players as quickly as possible. Again, take advantage of what we know here. These players are eligible. If they release right away, and do we gamble on third down a lot in six-a-side in the competitive, like, say, senior high school football game? Yeah, you do. For sure you do. So you have to be conscious of who eligible players are. So if these guys get out of there right away and take 2 players with them, it cleans up for the back row what's going on here. And oftentimes the max left responsible for spying the punter in case there's any rollout stuff. Anyways, again, fan the field. Secondary cut players will be our 2 back wall players. And again, great open field tackling and pursuit. Again, a boundary return example on punt return. Where Sam and Will forcing the kick, okay? Again, 2 eligible players here. 2 eligible players here, man them up, okay? Try and hold them on the line of scrimmage as long as possible, create as much space for your punt returner. Spy, watching any fakes, any early releases. If one of these guys happen to sneak by, the middle linebacker can pick them up, otherwise retreat down, get as close to the ball carrier as possible. Boundary side return, lead up the boundary side, look for most dangerous man, and use the space to your advantage. Probably the most difficult. Field goal PAT. So here I've shown it as a field goal. We have a kick returner in place here. A lot of times we just make the call on the line. So in this case, it would be right. It's kind of a slide protection thing. Leave the widest player come free. More often than not, as a skill in football. So typically as a kicker, we're going to take 3 steps back and 2 over, and our approach is going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay? In 6-a-side football, more often than not, what you see is, like this, kicking foot forward, and your approach is snap, step kick, because you got to get the ball out quicker. You have the advantage we have in 12-a-side football, or 9-a-side or whatever, is we lengthen the width of this out so far that it's a bit of a distance to be the free player to get to a block point. That's a pretty tight angle, all right? So that ball's got to come out right away. If you can teach somebody, recruit one of those people out there to catch a snap and drop kick a ball, you're going to have a lot of success doing that too. And then when you sometimes get the 5-person line or the 6-person line, you can call a right wham. And I really like this because we can often go 2 for 1 with our blocking scheme. So if the fullback here, they can just call right, right, right. And knows they're blocking right, long snapper knows they're blocking right, fullback's coming back across the line after the ball is snapped and trying to kick this guy out. It'll often widen that other person. So you can do a slide and wham block across, and sometimes you block 2 for 1. But running fakes out of this is also very effective because it at least slows down the rush from the defense. So that's an example of special teams. Any questions about basic overviews of systems there?
I have a question.
Yeah.
If a coach should choose to line 4 up on the line of scrimmage, who's ineligible?
Whoever's the 2 inside guys.
Both?
Outside guys are always eligible.
So any inside guys? So whereas if it was 5, it would only be the center guy, right?
5 on the line of scrimmage? 3. All 3 would be ineligible. 5 on the
Oh,
line of scrimmage.
okay.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah, 2 outside players are always eligible. That's in 12-a-side too, right? So 12-a-side football, 2 outside players are eligible. Whoever's in between them are ineligible. So, okay.
What's the, for the rusher, they're on the line of scrimmage, 1 yard off the line of scrimmage, anywhere on the line of scrimmage? Doesn't matter.
Now, again, I would encourage minor leagues, developmental purpose, like this is a really bad situation to be in, so you can say we're only allowed to rush 3 against kicks or something like that, right? Like, I mean, you don't want a holder and kicker going, I never want to do this ever again in my life because you're at a major disadvantage. So, but when you get into a competitive situation, like I said, the senior high school leagues in Saskatchewan, it is straight up 6 on the line of scrimmage, try and kick it for 2, go nuts. So let her rip. Any other questions? Well, I'm going to take 2 seconds to hotspot my phone here so we have better connectivity. Okay, we're going to look at some offensive stuff. So Hafford is the team in royal blue. Here's a beautiful Saskatchewan field in a town of 200 players. Okay, in November or October. So, actually, you know what? Let's not break this down by OD. Let's go.
You guys just put the headlights on for a night game?
Oh, yeah. Okay, construction lights are a real thing in rural Saskatchewan. They'll just bring out those portable diesel things and put them up. And it's rare, actually, to see cars that far away from the field. Like, I'm not kidding you. In the provincial final that I played in my senior year, our quarterback got knocked out of bounds. There was snow on the field. He slid on the snow, and about 7 yards outside of the line, or outside of the out of bounds line, his helmet got wedged under the oil pan of a van, and we thought he was dead. All we saw was his body lying under a van, and going, oh no, like did he hit his head on the bumper? It was all this sort of stuff, but his head was stuck and he was just like, I can't get out. And anyways, he had to be off for 3 plays, and I got to go play a little quarterback, and it was fun. But this is what could be. Like, imagine this, right? So so this is Plenty, Saskatchewan. They are not near really any civilization. They have a town of, like I said, about 250, 300 people. This is Hafford, Saskatchewan. I think they have about 400 people. So there you go. Opening kickoff, a little bit of a short, ugly kick, fielded. So fielded at about the 13-yard line. Like, not a bad kick, right? Like, we think, like, your kicker kicking the ball down to the 13-yard line, 12 on 12 football. Pretty good. So that's a good place to start. And again, is this still tackle football? Is there blocking happening? Is there good angles? Are they fighting to the upward shoulder? You know, are these guys all running upfield? Do people have position? Are guys with head on swivel? Yeah, I'd say so. And we start with on the half field. Okay, so here, Hafford, they've been 3-time provincial champions. Their coach played junior football with me. Great guy, runs a real organized program, has his own minor football program in this town of 500 people. They have their own minor football program. Flag, 6-a-side minor, all sort of stuff, and it feeds this team. So we have 2 eligible players. We have shotgun snap. We have tailback offset here. We have, I would call this slot left, maybe wide left.
How old are these guys?
This would be high school, senior high school. What's that? Oh, yeah. No, this is actually a regular season game, believe it or not. And they'd have announcers at the low level there. Okay, so bad snap. Quarterback's got a dipsy doodle. Obviously, there's room to run in 6-a-side. Get out of bounds. So 2nd and long. We made a first down there. Okay, now we got wide left. Ace strong.
Could you go back a plate for
Yeah,
me?
you betcha.
I'm just wondering if this was a crackback block that the boy threw coming back towards the quarterback.
This one right here. A little bit of a whiff there, but.
That one.
Oh, that one?
There, yeah.
Definitely sprung.
Oh, that one.
That would be considered a crackback, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd say
I
so.
would have flagged that.
You want to play everything?
I would have flagged that.
It's blindside.
Yeah, it was for sure. Okay.
It's hard for Les not to want to flag just the buffering of your first files for delay games.
No, I'd accept that one. So again, like this is just a straight kind of zone read type of concept there. You can see the quarterback's got his eyes on the end here. This end's doing a good job kind of looking for that quarterback boot. They're obviously concerned, if I'm not mistaken, this receiver is playing junior football and actually started for the Regina Thunder last year. They finished first in the regular season, undefeated. But they're obviously concerned with him because there's 2 of them over here. But again, you get in a lot of these 2nd and short situations. So the special teams don't play as big of a role in 6-a-side probably because getting first downs is relatively easy, but like it's not like the yards have come easy there. Like they gained 3 yards last play. Okay, and now here, quarterback pulls it, and they probably saw something. They said, hey, they're not doing a great job covering the tight end. Tight end kind of leaks out here. Go, uh-oh, and knocked out of bounds. Oh, they called that a touchdown. This was a bad snap on a field goal. But again, like this guy right here is playing at the University of Saskatchewan. I'm pretty sure, like big offensive lineman type of guy. Now, Is he best suited for six-a-side? Maybe not. He'd probably be better suited for a 12-a-side game, but he's a big, tall, lean lineman.
So in Saskatchewan, that's the only option? You guys just play six-a-side?
Oh, no. We have 52 six-a-side teams, 33, actually it might be lower now, 27, I think, nine-man high school team, senior, and then 36 12-man high school teams. So, yeah, like it's I want to say it's around 120 total senior high school football teams. It just so happens that we have more small towns that love their football. And this is literally like, okay, forget about what's happening on the field. Do you see the parking lot? Like, this is West Texas, stores put signs up, closed for game, that sort of stuff. Like, it's pretty cool that that's the atmosphere that these kids get to play in front of. I mean, you look at the amount of crowd there, it's pretty good. Okay, kick the ball out of bounds. Okay, now Plenty has a chance at offense here. They're using kind of like that open playbook we just showed you. Okay, so we have a player off the ball here, player off the ball here, quarterback here. This guy's eligible, ineligible, eligible. So we have 3 passing options. Some motion, and this guy turns into a lead blocker for the quarterback. Yeah, touch out of bounds. They got that right. See, it's easier on the officials too. Less to identify, right? You can make the calls easier. So again, like if you're a type of coach that likes to just play the numbers game, we have 5 players in the box here. They have 4 to defend us, and they're putting 2 out here on this player. So take advantage of what you can. Run the ball with your numbers. Now you got to get guys downfield and blocking a little better. Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, was he behind the line of scrimmage when he caught the ball? Yeah, he was. There you go. So those guys can all block downfield before the ball is caught.
You only got to worry about one guy blocking down the field.
No, but on a screen, like you can't block before the ball is received, right?
Even with the 2 eligible guys on
No, so like you can be downfield, but in terms of engaging blockers, yeah. Although I'd say that's the only guy actually engaged. These guys are all waiting patiently, but. And again, good open field tackle, pursuit by that player to make the play. Dirty draw play, so tried to get everybody's attention over here on this receiver. I don't think they fooled anybody. Good eyes and patience. And you see, again, knowing that you're playing with actually more width per player in 6-a-side football than you are even in 12-a-side. So if you took 12 players divided by 65 yards, we're looking at like a little over 4 yards per player, right? 5 yards per, just a little over 5 yards per player. 40 yards divided by 6 players, you're looking at a little over 6 yards per player, right? So you're actually dealing with more space to tackle. That's why some good defenses won't let their players get too far upfield. They'll more play square line of scrimmage and let the play develop and then react to it after the fact. So again, just a strategy of making sure you can tackle close to the line of scrimmage. Bringing up a third and short scenario, but again, they pull this guy around behind, fake that, loft that over top in the end zone. So here's the, now, what distance do you usually is your holder from the snapper in 12-a-side football for a field goal? 7 yards, yeah. What's this? 4 maybe? Like, that's tight, right? So again, it's how do we narrow the angles? How can we still get the ball up? So like it is literally, you got to bring out that sand wedge, right? Like you are just getting right under it and up. Got it. Kicked it out of bounds again. No. So again, principles of contain that outside arm, leveraging it back in. You got your cut and your alley players coming through. Again, 3 receiver type positions here. You got jet sweep look with quarterback booting out the backside, so you get a misdirection type of patterning. Coming in, sealing the edge with a blocker. This could be a block in the back, I would suggest. Yeah. Lefties always look weird throwing. But like, here's another, like, I think this is still a man concept. So see how he's just playing with eyes over the quarterback and then getting his depth, but this was his receiver. So this guy got out to the releasing backfield player. The safety was taking this first player. He took the first player. So it actually, I mean, if you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of what you try and do on defense, if you want to play with eyes in the backfield but still pick up eligible players, because just dropping back with 3 deep in zone, they're going to run all day on you. It's kind of a match type of concept, right? You see which patterns declare in your space, and then that's your man for the rest of the play. So it's kind of a unique way of taking on defense. But like this defense right here is very similar. So like here's your A gap player, your defensive tackle, here's your rush end, here's 3 linebackers, here's safety back. This is what we have as a base formation in our minor football program as well. Because it's just fundamentally sound.
Oh, no, never mind. The end came around, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But you can't have them running start?
Oh yeah. Yeah, just the 3 players on the line of scrimmage have to be stationary for 1 second prior to the snap being thrown. But here's a really neat screen concept here, right? So again, we just saw the play previous, they threw it to 27 over here. And now the tailback leaks out here, slips off. And I mean, this guy probably could have done a better job getting out, but nice timing there. All right, lots of eyes over with these 3 players over here. Now you got decent cut, and then zipped in the end zone. Again, getting that sand wedge out to kick the ball. So again, there's some examples of 6-a-side tackle football. I'm going to show you some other film at the end here, and we can discuss further. But there's a few other things I wanted to cover off. Okay. So one of the things that's really, I think, from any organization's perspective, is you don't necessarily have to agree with all the philosophy of LTAD. Certainly there's some stuff like windows of trainability and stuff that has been kind of thrown out and said it's a neat idea, but there's aspects to it that aren't necessarily, they're rooted in philosophy, not necessarily hard factual science, but generally speaking, it's what's best for our game in the long term, what's best for our athletes in the long term, how do we retain athletes in a recreational stream, develop the best elite level athletes, and that's kind of the philosophy behind long-term athlete development. And I don't think you can ever go wrong as an organization saying, Mom and Dad, we want to do what's in the best interest of your kid. And that's why we're not sending a team to the under 10 national championship or something like that. We have great competition locally here. We don't need to cut a whole bunch of players and make an elite team and go to some national championship like a Little League World Series, for example, where statistically it's shown that it doesn't really matter if you have success at that age to have success when it matters, right? Which is later on in life. So it's one of those things, because I think it's easy for parents and everybody to get caught up in this, I got to invest so hard into my kid, and you can lead to a lot of early burnout, you can lead to a lot of distaste towards the game because, you know, so-and-so told you at a young age that you were no good or you'd never amount to anything and all that sort of stuff. And so just focusing your efforts as an organizer, as a coach, as an administrator on pursuing physical literacy and developing confidence in your athletes through the competence of skills. And I don't think you can really go wrong selling that. It'd be like, hey, we're going to keep working on skill development, and skill development, we're going to provide as many opportunities as possible, whether that's in practice, whether that's in games for you to hone and develop those skills and receive that quality repetition. And again, we go to that model of the empty toolbox, okay? These kids are coming to you with an empty toolbox. Let's just fill it with as many tools as possible. They may not pull out all the tools that year, but they have them. And they can pull them out and they can make that proper selection and that proper tactical analysis when they need to say, here's the proper skill selection for this moment. I've been prepared for it. I've repped it. I've gone through it. I understand what I have to do. And now I can pull it out and I can play a more complete game when it matters. And I like breaking things down by skills, drills, and then practice planning. So I put a big emphasis on our coaches, and we kind of talked at length in the philosophy of everything, but like, let's get really good at skills, okay? Doesn't matter how good of a defense you've drawn up if nobody on your team can tackle. Doesn't matter how good of a run game you've drawn up if nobody on your team can run block. It doesn't matter how good of a pass game you have if your quarterback can't throw, your receivers can't run routes, and nobody can pass protect, all right? Those are fundamental skills to the position specifics of football. All right, and this starts even sooner. Can you run? Can you jump? Can you play catch? Can you do these sorts of things? It saddened me when I was a university football coach, and I wouldn't see people just go out and play. Hey guys, want to go play 21 today in the gym? No. Do you want to go play catch on the field? No. Want to go build snowman? No. It was like, where is this? And so we tried to develop this culture of like, hey, we're going to play the women's hockey team in hockey, and they're going to whip our butts around because we can't do anything else other than play football. And we tried to do some fun things, dodgeball tournaments, stuff like that, because being able to just have fundamental skills is important. So that's where I want you to just ask yourself, if I treat a kid as building a house or something like that, how strong is that foundation? Okay, and how strong is the foundation of my organization in terms of, am I laying the building blocks of sport? Am I developing skills to the highest level of my ability with what I control as an administrator, what I control as a coach, what I control as a parent, what I control in all those aspects? So think about these fundamental movement skills, gross motor skills, different body parts, all that sort of stuff. Foundational, general, I've already spoken about skill generalization, moving the body, transferable to multiple sports. So again, got this good place. I don't know where these athletes are going to get to, but they're going to get somewhere, okay? Complex sports skills, distinctive to sport, specific and very refined, so like a shotgun snap, refining movement parts of the body, may be limited to specific positions in sports. So shotgun snap, limited to the center in football, or long snapper. Have intention in everything you do. So whether that's your insertion schedule, whether that's we're not keeping score this year, whether that's we are keeping score this year, what's the intention behind that? And when you go into opportunities with children, what are the intentional opportunities to practice skills? We are going to focus on this today, all right? And so one of our most successful programs, we launched it probably 10 years ago now. We call it Tykes on Spikes. It's for 3 to 6-year-olds. It is literally a 7-station skill circuit that they spend 7 minutes at each station, and they run through it. It just happens that we use footballs. They do some kicking, they do some throwing, but we don't teach any actual football skills. They jump over bags, they run through obstacles, they roll, they do all this sort of stuff. And the whole idea there is get comfortable moving. And if you get comfortable holding a football, you might think about playing football later on. So it's something that introducing fundamental movement skills and having that play and exploration is something that's really important and continue throughout. Cueing. This is, again, when you get deeper and deeper into your 6-a-side, how do we teach, if we're going to make fundamental skills kind of the primary focus of what we're doing as a 6-a-side football program, as a 12-a-side football program, as a flag football program, what are the cue positions that we can use? What are some short, minimal phrases, 1 or 2 words that we can speak to preparation, we can speak to force production, we can speak to critical incident, we can speak to follow through and recovery, because now our players are going to hear that over and over and over again. Stay low, move your feet. I'll never forget coaches telling me that when I was younger, because that's fundamental. Eyes up. Okay, so that has to do with follow through recovery. It also has to do with preparation and initiation. All right, force production. Okay, drive through your hips, reload. Those are things that are short cue phrases that we need to be able to, like we've kind of developed a catalog of coaches. You should be saying these words as a part of your coaching practice. Like literally have a little catalog of stay low, it's 2 words. Move your feet, 3 words. All those types of things are really, really important that coaches should be saying on a regular basis and really intentionally deliver opportunities for skill to develop in individuals, because then they can start self-coaching themselves. I know this kind of bridges the 2 gaps of Adam and Pee Wee probably here, but focus on fundamental sports skills for all positions. So again, this is where it ties back into that long-term athlete development philosophy, is at this age group, we're not looking for the next Patrick Mahomes. We're not looking for the next Quentin Nelson. We want to prepare players for all positions. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you don't look like a quarterback, we're still going to teach you how to play quarterback. Because you might change, your body might change. It might. All right? Progress from cueing movement variables to simple cues related to each phase of the movement. So we go from very basic and general to more specific phases. And introduce some basic tactical skills required for gameplay and not complex strategies. So, hey, our goal is to get the ball in that end zone. Okay, we can do that by running or passing. Those are tactical skills, right? Does it really matter if you don't have to have really in-depth complex strategy? And again, that was the rationale behind, okay, here's where we're going to have a canned playbook. It's going to be football plays that look like 12-man, look like 6-man, look like 9-man. You can run them at any level. We're going to try and keep it simple, and we're going to try and deliver those aspects. Here we can start looking at more position-specific skills, but again, it doesn't have to be the emphasis till kind of the next phase there, that under 16 phase. And again, specific phases of movement, doing drill exercise and exercise can be an emphasis of the skill. So it doesn't have to just be fun, enjoyment, and exploration. Now we can have exercises and repetition of particular things to build autonomy in the athletes. Okay, so here's what you should know. This is what we want our coaches to know when we're looking at skill development. Are they successfully achieving the desired outcome consistently? Okay, so are they having accidental success or intentional success? Because that should reflect on your own coaching practice. Hey, these people can do this 10 out of 10 times or 8 out of 10 times, whatever you're setting up for success. Like, we can't be unrealistic in what we're defining as success, but at the same time, we should have some intention there, right? It can't be like, oh, we accidentally completed a pass today. No, you should be completing passes today, all right? And maybe that means we got to slow things down, or we got to narrow our routes, or all that sort of stuff. Like, we can analytics ourselves to death in the game of football, but when it comes down to it, we need to understand what our desired outcome is. You know, if our passing completion percentage is 20%, but all of our attempts are 25 plus yards down the field, we might need to revisit how we're throwing the ball down the field, because those aren't exactly high percentage pass plays. Break complex skills into phases. So this is safe contact. That's what safe contact did. All right, and that's where we can grow beyond safe contact and say, okay, what are the phases of, and I like to, the kinesiologist in me says, okay, preparation, force production, critical instant follow through. So how do I start? What's my ready position? What's my stance? How do I take off out of my stance? What are the things like, what's my drive leg? What's my step leg? What's my upper body doing? How am I engaging my core? How am I doing this? Now, how do I simplify that for a 6-year-old? It doesn't have to be all that broken down. It can be drive off your back leg. It can be as simple as that. I know a lot of sprinting coaches, they used to, from hip to heel, strong as steel. So you're driving through and you get those little rhymes in there. Those are things that your players are gonna cue and understand. Have your players show and check for understanding with you. Hey, how do you catch the ball? I do this all the time with my young kids that I coach in 6-a-side. Hey, how do we catch the ball above our waist? And everybody does a triangle. Below the waist, do this. Over the shoulder, do this. They show me, check for understanding. Okay, at least you know how to do it. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but you know how to do it. Yeah, and then let players try the skills and then cue them to avoid, cueing all components of the skills so that they're doing it properly. So let them show you, because some players will be more advanced, some players will be less advanced. This is the individuality of sport, and we need to go from there. Any questions about that? Sorry, that's like a lot of theory, but it's supposed to, the rationale behind this LTAD piece is like, there's actual, it's rooted, it's not just I wanted to, oppress my football coaches into running my playbook and this is the way it was going to be. It's going to be, no, there's a bigger picture here that we're trying to accomplish, and that's why we're trying to sell everybody on, this is why we're doing it. I'm not saying what we're doing is necessarily right. I think we've had some success with it, but this is the rationale. It's not just, we're trying to implement 6-a-side football because Football Canada told us to. Done. No discussion about it. No, this is why we think it was a good idea for us to do it. So drills. And this is one thing that I've tried to really make a point of emphasis, because we as coaches, again, I'm a coach drawn to X's and O's. I'm the, okay, I'm going to put the wide out here and slot back here. Like, you get me at a dinner table even later tonight, and we'll make plays with ketchup bottles and salt shakers and stuff like that. Like, I love X's and O's. But I encourage our coaches, what are drills that are effective, that make the level of skill development as high as possible on your team? What are drills you're comfortable with? What are drills you need to learn more, or what are some drills that you need to learn to develop skills that you're not that strong at? And that's what we need to go and understand as we go forward. So frequent repetition of a skill is so important. It's so important that, again, we're running drills with intention. It is to repeat this skill. We're not out there doing stance and takeoff because coach told you to do stance takeoff. No, that is the preparation phase of football, okay? So I'm learning, and here's the cool thing. Like, I do this with all of my athletes. This is a part of our warm-up in 6-a-side, because we have to learn all positions anyway. So I say, grab your face mask, okay? Because we've all seen it. Hey, get into a 3-point stance. Maybe we've taught it. Maybe we've taught it really well. But we still see this, right? Like same arm, same foot, knees probably bent together, all that sort of stuff. And it's one of those things. I'm like, hey, everybody, get into a 3-point stance. And I would, that floor is a lot more slippery than I'm used to. I'm out of shape. But it's one of those things that, like, I could demonstrate a really good 3-point stance, not there necessarily, but if the kids can't go from, oh, I need to mimic what coach is doing, I need to find a better way to do it. So we started this routine. Grab the bottom of your face mask, or put your hands on your chin, or your thumbs on your chin, okay? Put your elbows on your knees. So we started here. Every practice, every part of warm-up, we'd start here, okay? We're going in an O-line stance. Right foot back with the heel of your foot, hand down, okay? All of a sudden, all of my O-linemen looked like they knew what they were doing when we put them in a 3-point stance. Whoever went in there, because it was face mask, knees, dominant hand, dominant foot back, dominant hand down, eyes up, hand forward. And all of a sudden, it looked like a good 3-point stance. Before, it was get into a 3-point stance, and I would see this, and it cocked up in the air, and I'd be like, okay, you got 3 points on the ground, but we need to improve this way better. So it was, how can I cue this? How can I drill this so that repetition becomes everything? So we do it again. Okay, everybody gets to be a quarterback. Okay, well, here we go. Thumbs together like this. Get under here. Okay, now everybody down, set, hut, and we drop back, or we do pivots and all that sort of stuff. Part of warm-up. Okay, everybody, hands on face mask. Elbows on knees. Okay, show me a running back stance. Right here. Okay, here's the running back stance. You can go here. I'm not crazy about hands on the thighs, but that's just me. I like hands on hips. So here, running back stance. Okay, now open up, taking a hand off on your left hand side. Boom, left hand goes up. So we prep that during practice. Hands on face mask. Elbows on knees. Linebacker stance. Okay, done that. Okay, I'm here. I'm in good linebacker stance. Hands on face mask. On knees. DB stance. Narrow, sit down. Now I'm here. It all started from a squat. All right, we taught a squat. That's a fundamental movement skill. It's a squat. Transferable to multiple sports. We made it position specific in football because we said our desired outcome is to develop this sport-specific skill, which is preparation phase of a stance. Here, we're gonna go receiver stance. Boom. So narrow my stance, get up a little taller, hands out in front. Good receiver stance, okay? I do D-line stance, but I probably fall on my face because I could not hold myself up on that floor. So being able to provide frequent repetition every day, part of our warm-up. Every kid did every stance. Hey, that's part of the success in football. Fake it till you make it. Somebody lines up across from you, and they're going, boom, like this. Hey, they might know how to play O-line. They look like it, all right? Coach taught them how to do that. Whether or not they execute any blocking or anything like that, that's another piece of it, okay? Okay, so drills for the development. We can develop skills, we can develop strategies, we can develop tactics. So frequent repetition of whatever it is. So again, we might draw huge playbooks like that 43-page 6-side playbook that I showed you. If you're not getting frequent repetition of those strategies or tactics, probably not worth it for you. So how do we keep it simple? Okay, emphasis on the whole skill or part of the skill, strategy, or tactic. So are we looking at this holistically, or are we narrowing it down, breaking it down into its parts? Fast and effective feedback, all right? So it's pretty easy to get your own fast and effective feedback to, am I holding my face mask? Are my elbows on my knees? Are my toes pointed forward? Are my eyes up? Because from here, I can go into any football stance. And then adjustment of the skill execution. Maybe some people's stances were too wide, too narrow. Maybe we had the knock-kneed people, all right? You get those little elastic bands if you want to pull them apart. and we can give all these things, and we want the feedback to eventually be self-feedback, right? So players can self-correct. They can watch their teammates. They can see how they're performing and reflect on it themselves. Drills can be completed a variety of different ways. And yeah, we don't need to get into too much more of that. So again, intention. What is the intention that you're trying to accomplish? And I want you to think about it. What kind of football league are you trying to run? What kind of team are you trying to coach? What are the important things there? What are your intentions? Just ask yourself that as it relates to skills, as it relates to drills, as it relates to philosophy, as it relates to culture, as it relates to strategies. Those are all really important things, and I can't emphasize enough that it comes down to intention. Okay, and then we can control all of this within our practice. Closed environment, open environment, what equipment we're using, how we can progress and vary it as we go. Okay, so drills, again, looking at that 6 to 9-year-old group, simple to complex games and activities that emphasize specific fundamental sports skills and basic tactics. Can we get in and out of stances? Can we catch the ball? Can we stay low, move our feet, keep our eyes up, hands inside? All those sorts of things, really important. Can be more structured and it can be competitive. There's nothing wrong with competition. Nothing wrong with competition. Now, again, I go back to, do I want to emphasize competition on the scoreboard? Probably not at this age. Can require competition or cooperation and teamwork. Activities should look similar to the specific sport. So again, you can score, you can block, you can tackle, you can do all these sorts of things in the drills that you do, and we should provide players all times to practice all skills. So again, I go back to how I'm thinking about six-a-side football is, okay, I'm going to limit the number of plays that I'm going to install in a week or 2 weeks so that all players can learn all the positions to effectively run those plays. And a good example of a low organized kind of game that's competitive and has teamwork and all that sort of stuff, ultimate football, or we call it flicker ball. It's something we really like to play. Again, we can take it up a level at the next age, exercise-based drills, refine specific phases of movement, and you get more specific into like a pass skeleton type of situation. So when we're designing effective drills or choosing effective drills for our practices, we want to look at age-appropriate drills that are delivered in a progressive fashion that are critical to maximize skill development and enjoyment. I can't emphasize enough the part of enjoyment, okay? Practice should be fun. Gameplay should be fun. Drills should be fun. Now, does fun have to be the intention of it? No. But if everybody's miserable and hates it, probably not a successful drill. Okay? Think of what skills we want to be emphasizing based on, again, what is important as a fundamental sports skill for our sport with the ages that we're doing. And are we designing drills or choosing drills with a specific purpose? Okay, so purpose, intention, enjoyment, all really important things when it comes to drills. I really like this principle. I stole it. Spelt principle wrong. The good drill principle. Gamification, opponents, opportunity to learn, and developmentally appropriate. Okay, so have points, have score, make them feel like it's more game and less exercise when you're playing these drills. One of my favorite pass blocking drills is put a garbage can behind me, or blocking drills, period. Put a garbage can behind me, give somebody a football, a basketball, whatever it is. I'm going to keep my hands behind me, and I'm going to protect that garbage can, and they're going to try and score in the bucket. However they want. They're just going to move around and everything like that. We're going to play. I had university players. Can we do that again? Can we do that again? Because it was gamified, right? We were keeping score. We're seeing who wins, all that sort of stuff. But the intention of the drill was, I'm staying low. My eyes are up. I'm keeping my body in front of the guy in front of me. I'm moving around, and I'm protecting what I'm supposed to be protecting. So there was a huge intention component to it, but we made it fun. We added gamification. We added opponents. we added opportunities to learn, so we could say, hey, stay lower, keep your post foot up, we could do these different things to be able to teach our players, and it was developmentally appropriate, for sure. So those are some good examples of how to do effective drills. Yeah, for the older age group, again, refined skill development and tactical execution. When I talk about tactical execution, a lot of that has to do with skill selection. We need to have our players start to problem solve. It's okay to have some exercise, and it can look more like very much gameplay. Okay, practice plans here. So when we're doing six-a-side, this is the biggest thing that differs for us, is we do a lot of either circuit work. So if I've got enough coaches to run, so say I have my 3 coaches, offensive backfield, line coach, defensive backfield. If I have 3 coaches, we do a lot of circuit work. So, hey, offensive backfield, you're teaching this drill. Lines, you're teaching this drill. We're going to rotate through each station every 5 minutes. Everybody learns everything. We're going to make stance takeoff part of our warm-up. So it's wrapping our head around, I'm not just coaching my position today, I'm coaching everybody at that position today. Okay, so I'm not coaching the same people over and over again in the position. So I can't go as far down the rabbit hole, but I'm going to teach the same thing probably 3 or 4 times throughout the course of a practice to everybody on the team, and then they're going to learn that similar skill set. So we're not going to have as much position-specific skill adoption, but we're going to have just as much skill adoption through a practice because all players are learning all positions. And like, I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard the phrase that planning or failure to plan is planning to fail. Have a plan. It could be, even if it's the same one recycled over and over again, it's better than showing up without a plan. Because everything I've talked about here about intention, if you have a plan, if you write it down, you can at least hold yourself accountable to it. Now, I am a firm believer a practice plan is something, a great practice plan is something that is deviated from. Okay, you don't have to stick to the plan. It's a plan, it's a roadmap out there, but you might choose to go down a different pathway because things went sideways really quickly. Okay, and that's okay, but have a plan in place. Whether, and again, I kind of talked at lunch here, if I can provide all my coaches with football in a bag, here's your playbook, here's the insertion schedule, here's some drills I really like you to do, here's some sample practice plans, here's everything you need, here you go, good luck this year, let me know if you need any help. If I can do that, perfect. Here's your cones, here's your balls, here's your everything you need. That's a huge advantage because it actually honestly relieves the burden of a coach. I was telling this at lunch too. On Tuesday last week, I was out for some drinks with a couple of colleagues, and the one guy, he played university football. He started in a Vanier Cup. And he goes, I'm coaching my kid in six-a-side this year. I can coach football. And he's a principal and he's a teacher. He's got the background to be just fine at coach. And he's coached high school football. I've never coached six-a-side before. And then I looked at the website and I saw you already have the playbook and the insertion schedule. He goes, this is the best. He goes, I was so stressed about coaching football this year because he just finished coaching hockey. And he goes, it's basically done for me. I just get to show up and run through what you have laid out. And I'm like, yeah, that's the idea, but be really good at coaching those skills, right? So take the burden away somewhere, but put the emphasis somewhere else, right? So practice planning, so important to team development. So here's how we kind of lay out the practice plan. I'm gonna go through it in a different means later on here. I'll show you a practice plan we actually use with our league. This is all stuff that I'm sure you've picked up through some coach certification. Oh, sure. So this is the way I like to lay out our practices. Sure, I shouldn't take this for granted, but I will go through this later on. So pre-practice, am I meeting with my coaches? Are we discussing this? Like, do we do a walkthrough or anything with our players? Any of that sort of stuff. warm up, 10 minutes, dynamic warm up, whole team together, teach all of our stances. Individual skill development. So this is where defensive backfield coaches are, say, working on back pedal and pivot. Line coaches are working on drive blocking and run defend because they're going to be doing some stuff together, O and D line. And our backfield coaches are working on route running and catching. We'll say that's what it is. But then that's going to be a circuit. So we're going to start there with these 3 groups, and then the offensive backfield is going to go to line, the line's going to go to defensive backs and linebackers, the linebackers are going to go to quarterbacks and receivers. We're going to do that 3 times. So now we learn individual skill development in 3 different areas, and everybody should know both sides of the ball. And then skill application, we're going to do one-on-ones. Again, you're going to spend 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, or 5, 5, 5, because again, we're not talking about huge team sizes here. 5, 5, 5, or we can just do it all together as a team. It's one-on-ones, right? There's 15 kids on your team. Well, going 7 on 8 for some pass routes and then 7 on 8 for some run blocking drills. Maybe you have 2 stations set up. Plays through that pretty fast, right? Do that skill application. We're working on coverage, we're working on route running, we're working on run blocking. Boom, done. Tactical development. I'm going to install the plays for today. Maybe lay out the cones. Here's the holes. Okay, we're going to talk about 34 lead. Okay, which one's the 4 hole? Everybody points to the 4 hole. We got some understanding there. They've shown me that. Okay, now go line up on the cones. Okay, center 2 ends. Okay, don't care. Maybe coaches hold bags or player hold bags in the other position. Okay, we're running 34 lead. Okay, who are you blocking? Boom, 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 boom. Walk through it. Next group up. Next group up. Okay, in a different position this time. Different position this time. Go through the same play multiple times. Repetition, intention, learn it, done. Tactical application and competition. So we've done offense. Say we did some defensive stuff. Defense never really changes, so spend a little less time on that. That's more about the competition piece. Now you run the play against each other. So white shirts versus the black shirts. Run the plays. We have a short cool down, wrap up, and reminders for players when next practice is. Here's our game. Wash your jerseys, that sort of stuff. So that's how we would run a 6-a-side practice, something like that. I'll go through that in more depth there, but that's kind of an example of how we do it. Again, this is more philosophy stuff. You probably picked this up in some NCCP coach training, but safety first, always. Okay, everything we do, it's a good way to lose parents quickly is if you don't have a safe practice. Break your practices into periods like we just showed you there. Prepare, communicate. Just make sure you have the proper amount and type of equipment. I'm a minimalist as a coach. You hand me 16 cones and a few balls and I'm ready to rock. I use players as bags if I need to. But yeah, the more equipment you have, the better off you can be. Like players would rather, when learning tackling, they're less fearful of tackling a bag than they are another human being when they start. They get used to that pretty quickly. Communicate with your assistant coaches, know their roles and responsibilities, and let your players know in advance the plan if possible. So one of the things we started doing is we started preloading all of our practice plans for our coaches in an app, and then coaches could schedule their practices in the app and they could get their attendance so they knew who was coming, and they would actually upload the practice plans so the coaches could go over the drills that they were doing with their players every practice, and the really interested parents would actually run the drills in the backyard with the kids prior to the practice, and it was pretty cool to see how that evolved. But again, if you can communicate these things before practice, it goes a long way because you spend less time explaining things when you get there. And then always review. That review, develop, implement cycle has got to be ongoing with our practice planning. Kind of the stuff we just talked about. Great plan is always deviated from. Meet the needs of your players. Discuss the plan with your coaches. Ensure your athletes are active and engaged throughout. So you don't have to run a 2-hour practice because you have 2 hours. It can be an hour, it can be an hour and a half. I don't think I've run a practice for longer than an hour and 45 in years. And part of that is just player engagement. You can see where you lose them in practice, and I like to talk too much probably, as you're learning right now. But we want to limit the lineups, downtime. You know, ensure that you have the equipment. If you don't have the equipment, don't run the drill. Those are things that you got to just be aware of or be able to deviate from right away. And this is another thing. I couldn't believe, and again, it's things that you just sometimes take for granted. Don't try and teach plays when your players are gassed. Like, how do you not remember this? Well, you were sucking air and going like this half the practice when I'm trying to teach you new plays. Well, no, teach this stuff at the start of practice. Let them do their autonomous things at the end of practice when they're tired and stuff like that. I mean, is there a point where, yeah, you got to learn some stuff when you're tired too, because there's a game application to it. But again, that's next level stuff. That doesn't have to be taught at the atom level. You don't have to beg the heck out of kids and be like, in the fourth quarter when you're sucking wind, you got to know how to run this play. No, you don't. That's when they're 17 years old. They can do that, okay? And avoid the 3 L's, lectures, lineups, and laps. So I'll show you the app that we use to actually schedule practices. So it's a Football Canada mobile app. So if you have a mobile device on you, I'll get you to check that out. If you've joined my team, what I can do in here is I can schedule a practice. So for instance, for today, I can add a practice by hitting the plus in there. We can call this 6-a-side clinic. And we can start. Let's say it starts at 3 p.m. And I can attach a drill. So I can select a plan. So I've gone into this app and I've created my own plan. So for 6-a-side here, I have week 1, practice 1, training camp. I'm going to add that. I'm going to create that. And then that is, so there, the 6-a-side clinic is for today. I can see who's attending it. And I can see the practice plan right in there. So I can see it. I have all of these coaches by clicking the team tab down below there. And I can invite members by, again, sharing that team code with everybody there. But the thing I wanted to show you is, so in our practice plan here, this week 1, practice 1, so I've got a pre-practice section built in there. I didn't really elaborate a whole lot on that. But then I have our warm-up. So I have a dynamic warm-up period in there. And again, if I'm an inexperienced coach, I can click on dynamic warm-up and it comes with an explanation. Again, internet's not all that hot in here right now. So, but in most of these cases for these drills and everything, there's a video, there's an explanation, there's here's what you do. So again, my parents, my coaches, myself, all know what to do in there. And then, so we have a stance and takeoff period in there. Quarterbacks, receivers, and running backs are one group. I click on O-line, D-line, and again, I can get in here and it'll show the offensive and D-line stance and takeoff drills that I have in there. And then I have linebackers and DBs all grouped together as one. And then I do a safe contact circuit. So there again, I've broken it into offensive backfield, linemen, and defensive backfield. So this is going to be a circuit, so we're going to go from one to another. So again, it's 15 minutes. I'm spending 5 minutes at it. So offensive backfield is going to focus on pre-contact position, then strike from pre-contact position. Those drills are in there. Again, the internet would be a lot better. But again, there's videos of what that is. So if a coach goes, well, what do you mean by pre-contact position and striking from pre-contact position? They can see a video here. There's cues already written down here, so I can coach it up like that. I can, it's one of those things. In terms of a tool that provides coach efficacy for somebody that's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've coached flag football. Now somebody asked me to coach tackle 6-a-side. What do I do? Oh, you mean if I just say those 3 things, the kids will probably learn something? And if you emphasize those things, yeah, you'll be a good coach. And then linemen, we're doing this drill, a 2v1 hip tag, and defensive backfields, finish hold position, and then finish march double time. So again, safe contact drills that we've had in there. I have a scheduled water break in there. I learned that Parents like to see that you have breaks scheduled because, I don't know, some other sports or sometimes football, their coach is a real jerk. He doesn't give time for any of this. Throw it in there. Whether you stick to the water breaks that you scheduled is another thing, but it's in there. Parents appreciate it. And then individual skills, like I said, we're teaching all of these players all of these things. So again, we're going to go through 5 minutes at a time. We're going to do these drills. Linemen are going to do these drills. Defensive backfield is going to do these drills. And so we've had, and you can obviously see this on your phone too. It doesn't have to be an iPad, but I got a huge complaint from a grandparent last year. My kid's coach has been on his phone all practice. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. But it's so nice to be able to, like, I mean, I'm sure you've all printed off your Excel spreadsheets or whatever you have for napkins, whatever you have for a practice plan, and it gets all beat up in your pockets and lost and whatnot. I've really found our coaches all have their phones with them anyways, and if you can do this, it's an effective way of doing it. Not to mention, like, if I'm coaching the defensive backfield, I just have to look at that. I don't need to know what the offensive backfield's teaching and stuff like that. And if I go, okay, what am I supposed to be cueing? I can click on that, I can see exactly what it is, and I can go from there. Team install, I put the plays in. So here's some of the plays we're going to learn today. So all of our lead formations, or our lead plays, those plays are right in there. So I can hold it up and go, again, if I had internet, I'd hold it up, say, here's the play we're running. Kids would all look at it. Any questions? Okay, we get in there, we walk through everything. Okay, this is 31 lead. Here's how we do it. And then same thing on defense. And we're going to do some pursuit stuff on defense because, again, in our league, it's one defense for the whole season, no blitzing. And then we're going to play ultimate football as our team compete drill, and then wrap up and secure. I have 5 minutes there, and I'll write down notes and whatnot from there. The cool thing about this is, as a coach, you have this little edit button. So I can hit edit, and then I can go create, and I can save a new plan. So say I want to go week 1, 1 practice 2, and I can submit it. And then if I want to change some of the things in here, I just have to go in here. I already have my template built, so I can go into Safe Contact, and I can, go back to Edit. I can go into the Safe Contact circuit here, and I can go Edit, and I can change the length of it, or I can look at the drills, and I can say, okay, we did these 2 drills, so I can delete that, and now I'm working on my second practice plan already. I can go, okay, I can add a drill, and then this whole drill library pops up. Again, internet dependent. Or I can even add my own drills. So here, this is just one I created, but like I just took a picture of something on my computer, and then I can write my own descriptors and key points and variations right in here. So this is what would come up when my assistant coaches are looking at this and they go, oh, that's what coach wants us to do today. Or they might come up and say, hey, instead of running your rebel defense drill, this is a flag match coverage, by the way. It has nothing to do with six-side football. Then they can be like, hey, can I do this instead of this? And it's like, yeah, I'm glad you're thinking about practice. You have intention just by the fact that you asked me if you can switch a drill that I had scheduled for you, right? So this has been a really effective tool for us, from both an inexperienced coach just going, oh, thank God, everything's there for me and I can just follow the plan, to the experienced coach going, huh, that's a pretty neat drill. I never thought about doing that before. So this has been a good tool. I'd encourage you to use it. It's been really effective. So the Athlete Era guys that created this app, their office is 30 feet from my office, so I get to work with them a lot on some things. So I pay an extra annual fee of, I think, $1,000 for our whole organization, so figure out what that costs in cents. It's not very much per player. I can log in on a website and I can create my own loaded practice plans for my organization that only shares within my organization. Like this six-a-side plan was just my own, but I can share it with every member of Saskatchewan Minor Football that signs up. So that was another kind of efficient tool that I was really happy to take advantage of, because there's a lot of good stuff here from Football Canada, and there's a sharing agreement. Like, so these guys also do the Football USA app, and Football USA has like 2,000 drills and really high production, like NFL, like filmed at the Eagles complex and the Colts complex. And that's available to us as well. But that's been a really good tool for us as well. But it's just nice because now I go into my plans and I have week 1 practice 2s already there, the template I built. And then I can click edit on that. I can go, edit on that, and I can create a new plan. So if I hit the, I should show you this. So if I hit those 3 buttons up in the top corner there, it comes up with, I can either save the existing plan so I can work on week 1 practice 2, or I could create a new plan and I can make week 1 practice 3. So I can use that same template, I can add new drills, take new drills, I can change the times, I can change the names, I can change my groupings without having to rewrite everything all over again. So the template's already built, it's a really easy way to practice plan, and then you always have it. And then you can share it with your coaches and all that sort of stuff, and you go, oh, that was a really good practice we did in week 3. Let's revisit that, we'll edit it, we'll make new ones, and go on like that. So again, just a nice efficient tool for coaching your coaches and your players. Because like I said, those practice plans get shared with our players as well. And it's really neat to see how some of our parents have been like, oh, they're doing this running back drill today. They'll set it up in their backyard and run through it with their kid. And then when you, it's called blended learning a lot of the times. You get these parents practicing the drill at home. Well, now all of a sudden you're doing that drill with even more intention at practice, because the kid, you don't have to explain what the drill is. You have to explain the skills within the drill, because the kid already knows how the drill's set up because mom and dad ran through it with them and all that. So that was really neat. Yeah.
So with that app that you just showed us, that's like a lot of stuff that's pretty powerful. But by you inviting us to your team, you're the one that can edit practice plans and stuff. We're the ones that are going to be the recipients of that, right?
I think.
And if we want to implement those create our new plan with our own drills and that type of stuff on that app, we would make our own team, or
you'd make your own team. I think I could probably add you. For the purposes of this,
how would that work?
I think I could add you as a coach. Right now, you guys are probably just listed as players on the team. I could add you as a coach, and then you'd have access to those plans as well.
Gotcha.
And be able to do that.
Yeah, because if we go in there and edit a plan, it's going to edit it for everyone across the board.
No, it only saves, if you edit anything, it only saves it in your plans. So that's where it gets into my plan. So that's the cool thing about it is there's the stock kind of template plans, or the loaded plans that we put together. And then if you edit it, it's just yours. It doesn't screw up anything that's
Those are yours that you put up there for coaches to turn into their own game plan.
Totally.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the e-learning app tech world is a whole nother ballgame that we could spend a lot more time talking about, but it's a really powerful tool. It's free to us. Again, if you ever ended up on the bad side of Football Canada for whatever reason, these guys do a white label app too, so you can probably get the same stuff for the same price anyways. But and you can get the Football USA stuff too. So there's lots of options out there, and but it's just a real, again, another tool to increase your coach efficacy, to take away those pain points of, I'm twisting this poor person's rubber arm because, sorry, mom and dad, if we don't have a coach step up, we can't have a team, and we've all been there. And what we found is actually we have a 90% coach retention rate after people come into our league, whether it's flag or six-a-side or whatnot. They find that we give them enough support, hopefully, and love, and a few free beers along the way, and they stick with it. So it's been a good tool for us. So any questions about? I mean, probably lots of questions about that, but that's just just kind of a very short introduction to what the app is. There is a video on footballcanadamobile.com/support that kind of shows you how to set up your own team and do all that sort of stuff. It's pretty straightforward there, so you can have a look at that yourself. And I'll go in here and I'll make sure I'll change all of you to coaches so that you should be able to access the practice plan I shared with you that way, and then you can start just editing it and creating your own that way as well. And perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap up. Success stories that we've had with Saskatchewan minor football is we started this league in 2009. We had, let me think here, 8 teams in 2009 in one division. We played a full slate, and we grew to eventually, one year we had 38 teams in our league, and it expanded as far as 200 kilometers away from Saskatoon. And the whole idea was, here we have this awesome facility. We can put 6 fields on it, so it's not like field capacity was a stressor for us at the time. We had 3-4 hours blanket booked in there. And we said, hey, we reached out to small towns. We said, hey, you've never had an opportunity to have minor football in your small town before. Here's an opportunity for you to expand beyond your high school football team in a town of 500 people. You can even fit the kids in your same high school equipment. And if you have smaller kids that you need to fit in ours, we'll make that available to you. But and if they use their own equipment, we'd pay them a rebate from their fees back to help equipment recovery. And it became a fundraiser for a lot of high school teams because they said, well, we're not using the equipment in the spring, so why not put it on some kids? We all know it has a 10-year warranty on all helmets, or 10-year expiry on all helmets anyways. So we had teams drive in once a week for games on Thursday nights. They'd practice at home. They'd drive in for games. They get to play against kids from the city that they never would otherwise. They develop more confidence because now they've played against those city kids. And we did see that disparity. I know one of the concerns was in the questions, well, you know, how do you make that transition to 12-a-side football? Well, there was a big concern. Like even, I was a bit of an anomaly in the fact that I played 6-a-side football, and I went and I tried out for Senior Bowl and 12-man games, and I made a junior football team and all that sort of stuff. But there was a lot of kids that were intimidated by playing the 12-a-side game when you only played 6-a-side your whole life. You had no exposure to anything else. But these younger kids that have had that opportunity now to play against city kids, they're not as intimidated by it and all that. And that was just something that was maybe unique to Saskatchewan, maybe not. But certainly we're seeing a lot more rural kids come try and play elite football, try and compete for 12-a-side all-star teams and U18 teams and U16 teams and all that. And that's been another success story for ours is just making football available for players. So that was something that I'm pretty happy with the results of, but I think we still have a lot more to go. And I think that the reach, like I said, I want to see this game in the Saskatchewan Summer Games. I want to see a women's football league developed for junior and senior high school football and minor and really see that grow. We've seen the development in Aboriginal communities and remote communities and all that sort of stuff, and I think that that's something that was never available to our game before because you needed a minimum amount of bodies to field a 12-a-side football team. 6-a-side really reduces those options. We don't run into that pain point that we still do in 12-a-side senior tackle football is, do we have enough linemen this year? The poor fullbacks that we say, too bad, here's 66 and you're playing guard. Like, you know, like it's just, you don't run into that problem. You can play a spread offense. You can do unique things that better suit the needs of your players. And like I said, from a developmental to a highly competitive model, there's different ways to fit this game in altogether. So, I just want to show you a last little bit. This is this year's provincial final, 2A provincial final. So in Saskatchewan, we have 1A, which is, like I said, schools of 60 people or less from grade 10 to 12. Yes, that's small. And then 60 to 120 is 2A. 3A is small 9-man schools, 4A is large 9-man schools, and then 5A is small 12-man schools, and 6A is large 12-man schools. So this was the 2A 6-man provincial final. Again, you'll see another beautiful field. Okay, squib kick. See the green lines there? Pretty unique again. This is Guebert, Saskatchewan. This is actually only 10 minutes from Saskatoon, this town, but they only have 250 people living there. There's a fake end around. So if you look at the end right here, the quarterback fakes the handoff. We got a kind of a twin look here. Release out. Again, decent zone coverage there by Guebert. Little jet sweep look there. Again, slippery field, but both teams are playing in the same conditions. Here's a spread look with double slots. So now we're literally flag football kind of scenario. You got one blocker here, two rushers. These guys like getting upfield. Got to throw the ball out quicker, and it's picked off. Now, again, when I say a flag football look here, I want you to see, I'm sure we have a lot of flag football, or at least familiar with flag football here. 2-2 defense, right? 2-2 zone defense. Look at what these guys are playing here as a zone defense. Two guys deep, two guys short. They end up matching the players in coverage. Ball's underthrown. Pick. Awesome.
Lefty again, throwing the pick.
Yeah, freaking lefties. Again, a bit of a spread formation here. Center's eligible. And run with the quarterback. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's the cool thing about the spread formation, right? So again, center's eligible. You got a player out here. You got a player right here. Obviously, hey, icy field, athletic quarterback. He knows where he's going to change direction. The defense doesn't. I like the coaching points there. He's looking to pass to somebody here, but we got this match coverage is amazing. Like, you tell me that this can't translate to, can't even translate better to 12-man football. Like the fact that this he's in a zone, but his eyes are on the player coming to him, and then he plays man on that player as he gets to him. Like, I can't get my senior football players in high school to do that. Like, that's unreal. There's a big hit right there. Yeah.
Probably you get a lot of roars when you explode someone in 6-man because
Oh, yeah.
it's rare, probably.
Yeah, you have to be a sure tackler. Here's a neat, kind of jet sweep misdirection. He was late to leak out here, so neat that you set up to block and then you kind of sneak through the weeds. But a tackle, again, not a touchdown yet. There's the cars right near the sidelines again. Okay, 3rd down and goal. And he gets, oh, no, he doesn't get in there. Oh, maybe there's a penalty somewhere in here. Yeah, they made a stand. Again, when you think of the concept of 6-man football, and then here we do a bit of a bubble screen. Just outnumbered him body to body, but still look at where, they said he scored there, actually. And your red shots for that. Okay, and then your little squib kind of kick to space. Make something happen. Again, icy fields is the conditions here, but kids keep their feet. Oh, shoot. Oh, boy. I forgot this is a single clip. I hit the next button. 1 second. Oh. Sorry, there's a play here, actually. Here we go. Okay. How about this? This is the first touchdown by Waka in this game here. Again, something they probably scouted on film. DB steps in front of it, pick 6. Now just wait till you see how they react. There's a better kick there. Kickoff there, score, 8-8. Both converts kicked. And again, the one of the major differences between 12 and 6-man football is 12-man football, a game of inches. Like we're looking to stop them from getting a first down. 6-a-side football, a game of stops, right? Like who can stop them? So a pick six, that's huge. Again, they like to stick with the running quarterback. Okay, now Clavet, talk about a team that adopts on the fly. Here's the same play that this guy just picked six, right? Oh, but now we're going to throw it to the wide receivers that are down the field. So again, nice little change up there. That lineman looked offside. Stuck it in the basket, got the catch. But you watch this and it looks different than what we're probably used to from traditional 12-a-side football, CFL, NFL, all that sort of stuff. But it's still football. They're still blocking, they're still tackling, they're still ball carrying, they're still passing, there's catching, there's lots of scoring, there's tackling in open space, there's all that sort of stuff. And then you think of, again, you go back to that opportunity sheet. Is there opportunities for this to exist on First Nations communities throughout BC? Yeah, why not? Is there opportunities for it to be in, I don't know, Fort St. John and Dawson City or all those places around here? Sure, why not? Like, I mean, there's big athletic kids everywhere that would probably love to play what we would argue, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, the greatest team game there is. Like when we think of the values and the lessons that we learn that, take us off the field into being good human beings and good citizens and volunteering in our community and all that sort of stuff, the reasons why you are here was probably taught to us by some football coach somewhere. So being able to expand those opportunities is great. And it doesn't look like this in Saskatchewan all the time, so it does get nice in the summers.
There's a couple weeks in there, right? Oh, I thought this was summer.
I was going to say, it's mosquito season in winter. That's what we get, so it's
like this 12 months a year here.
We have rain and road construction. That's our 2 seasons.
So there's again, I'll just let this play. Any other questions that you had or any questions that you felt went unanswered? I think I tried to get to most of them on our sheet there.
Well, I did want to mention that if 6-a-side tackle started tomorrow and every flag team that's currently registered in U10 in the BCFL, we would have 13 teams in this division. That's with the existing kids that are already signed up and the existing coaches we already have lined up. We'd have a 13-team division at U10 6-a-side contact. That's without a single other kid signing up, and we do know that we have a ton of kids that don't play flag, that only play tackle. It could be a very, very fun season with a lot of games and a lot of teams playing each other.
Yeah, there's lots of opportunities. Like I said, if you have any detractors that say that's not real football, talk to that senior high school coach and say, I can promise you we're going to double or triple the amount of starting quarterbacks coming to your school, tailbacks touching the ball, middle linebackers making open field tackles, that sort of stuff. And they go, oh, I'm going to change my tune on that a little bit. Like, it's one of those things. Like, we're going to have less people sitting on the bench. We're going to have more opportunities to develop a wide range of skills. So our linemen are going to learn how to catch the ball, and our receivers are going to learn how to block, and everybody's going to learn how to tackle, and all of those types of things. So when you think about how you can use this as a tool to benefit the long-term development of your game, you can take it a long way. But again, it all starts with philosophy, with developing a culture, with empowering your coaches and restricting them in other areas, and going like that. But you get some pretty unique situations here. So Yeah, thanks for having me out, and I'm happy to provide you any other information that you need. I'll throw my contact information up here. This is it's long, just like the name of our province. It's bguebert@saskatoonminorfootball.com. That's my cell phone. Feel free to reach out to me. I will share this presentation with Dave and whoever else, and you can just get it out to whoever you want. And yeah, best of luck in your pursuits of Atom football. And I think it's a really good game. I think it's got a lot more benefits than detractors. And like I said, my goal at the end of the day, I just want to see more kids having the opportunity to play a game that treated me pretty well. And if we can expand the reach of our game and give more kids an opportunity to play, you'll never be wrong doing that.
Well, that concludes the third and final segment of the VCFL's Introduction to Six-a-Side Football featuring Brian Guebert. Some key takeaways from this segment and the previous two. Long-term athletic development is key to the growth of football in Canada. Six-a-side football gives kids more playtime, more chances to develop, and as well much more fun. Six-a-side football also easily translates to 9- and 12-a-side football as the player grows and develops. Remember, half the players, twice the athletes. I would like to thank Brian personally for sharing his knowledge and passion for football. It was an absolute pleasure hosting you, and I can't wait to work with you again. One final shout out to our sponsor, the BCCFA, in partnership with the BC Lions, for their continued support of grassroots football at the Atom and Pee Wee levels. My name is David Rooney, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I did. Stay tuned for more info coming to you from your clubs in the near future. Thank you, and see you on the field.